Well, moving on to other news now, and after the US, the UK is now trying to improve its China ties. The UK's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly has met the Chinese Vice President in Beijing today. Interestingly, Cleverly is the first senior UK minister to travel to China since 2018. The trip comes amid criticism from some MPs over UK's China approach. Some ministers and MPs feel the UK government needs a more coherent and unified approach to China. And according to UK's Foreign Ministry, Cleverly will also meet top Chinese diplomat Wang Yi. He is expected to discuss human rights in Hong Kong, Xinjiang and Tibet regions. Along with these, Cleverly may also discuss cybersecurity, the Ukraine war and the rising tensions in the South China Sea.
We are clear-eyed about the areas where we have fundamental disagreements with China, and I raise those issues when we meet. But I think it's important we also recognise that we have to have a pragmatic, sensible working relationship with China because of the issues that affect us all around the globe.
Cleverly's trip comes even as an 87-page report by the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Committee brands Beijing as a threat to the UK and its interests. It further accuses the Chinese Communist Party of displaying behaviour that is characterised by increased aggression towards Britain. However, the committee's chairwoman, Alicia Kearns, said, and I quote here, "It is more important that UK is in the room with China in stark disagreement rather than cutting off relations." On the other hand, Foreign Secretary Cleverly also insists that some engagement with China is required to further UK's national interests and promote stable bilateral relations.
It is an important country, it's a large country, an influential country and a complicated country, and therefore our relationship with China will necessarily be just as complicated and sophisticated.
In March 2021, the UK first detailed its strategic tilt towards the Asia-Pacific region. It was endorsed as Global Britain repositioning itself post-Brexit. But last year, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the so-called golden era of closer ties with China was over. But he stressed that UK could not simply ignore China's significance, a point James Cleverly reiterated before his trip to Beijing this week. Meanwhile, reacting to Cleverly's trip, China's foreign ministry has said that Beijing hopes London will work alongside it to promote the stable development of China-UK relations. The foreign ministry spokesperson further added that maintaining a growing bilateral relation will serve the common interests of both nations. And for more on this, we're now being joined by our correspondent Alex Izat from London. And Alex, so clearly the UK identifies China as not its best partner in that detailed report, also saying that it's not always been in Britain's interest to engage with China, but disengagement is really not an option either. And that's the point James Cleverly is making while he's on that trip to Beijing.
Well, absolutely. There is a lot to discuss, and James Cleverly will be needing to talk about those issues that aren't just about moving forward with trade agreements. It's also about those human rights issues, which has been one of the main problems when it comes to China and the way that they handle within their own country. But also, we spoke not long ago about the secret police coming over to the UK. So there are real concerns about privacy, security, human rights. So these are the big ones. And of course, it's great that if he is in the room speaking about this and asking those important questions, then maybe James Cleverly will get some answers. But when it comes down to the details from the government, the committee about how we're going to move forward with strategy and security, well, those are still private and we don't quite know full details of some of those committee documents. So this will open up a lot of questions about exactly what is the UK going to be doing with China as we move forward. That golden era back in 2015 may well be over, but Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has definitely changed his language when it comes to China and how he speaks about them. And it does seem more of a softening approach as we head forward. Rishi Sunak's very, very focused on AI and technology. And of course, China does hold one of the huge cards when it comes to those specific areas. So Rishi Sunak and the government will definitely want China on their side, but he has to also be careful about what they're going to be talking about.
Right. Right, Alex, thanks very much indeed for joining us for the very latest there on James Cleverly's visit to China.